wouldn't it be great to become happier in life, more satisfied with your life, to grow above and beyond what is normal?
Hi, and welcome to Lead Well.
What is your first thought when you hear the word neuropositive? It's really interesting because that is a word that has come up in my mind very, very recently when I started thinking about what type of techniques I offer, what type of method I use. In German, I have a word that really nicely describes the way I approach things, I approach questions, and I call myself the Sinnstifterin. And this word in itself means the person who creates purpose, who creates meaning, or helps others create meaning. And the interesting thing is, it has the word Stift in it, which means a pen. So creating meaning with a pen. And this fits perfectly to what I'm doing and everything you are experiencing with me. Now, in English, doesn't work. And so for several months and even years, I have thought about, well, what can I call this approach that I'm taking? And funnily enough, only a few days ago, I came up with this word, neuropositive. Now, what do I mean by that? And my first question is even, what do you picture in your mind? What do you understand when you hear that word neuropositive? What does it make you think about? What expectations would you have for someone working with this approach? Now, let me share with you what I think. And I am, as you probably know by now, I am a believer of science, a scientific approach. So it's very important to me that everything I talk about has a scientific background. And neuroscience is really the part in science that interests me the most and that I find most interesting and most fascinating, because there are so many things we're doing in our little heads that we're not really conscious about. And the more we learn how we can influence the way we think, our brain works, our neurons fire, the better we can deal with different situations. And so one part of it really is the neuro. And of course, it also has a parallel to Neurographica, this method with paper and pen that I have been using for more than 8 years now, and that has brought me so much positive change and also has helped so many of my clients. And so neuro in neuropositive, of course, also stands for Neurographica. Now, the positive part of it, that is just how I see the world, because I truly believe that in essence, if we are open to it, life can be very, very positive. And there will always be an option to approach difficulties and situations with a positive mindset, with some optimism, with the openness to inquire, the openness to learn, the openness to understand what could be the situation if it was not happening to me, but for me, as I've often said before. So the positive stands for that, this openness, the curiosity, the positive approach to things. And on the other hand, it also stands for two more things. The first is positive psychology. Now, this is the idea that when you go to a coach or a therapist, you don't necessarily only go there because you have an issue. Like when I start talking with my clients, sometimes they say, well, actually, Christine, I don't know what to talk about because I don't have an issue. And my question always is, well, okay, you're at level 0 maybe, but wouldn't it be great to become happier in life, more satisfied with your life, to grow above and beyond what is normal? This is the idea of positive psychology. And it's not that old, by the way. has been developed by a person called Martin Seligman, and very, very fascinating because it has a lot of tools, techniques, and also, of course, the scientific background on what we can do to make our lives even better. If you already think you have a great life, which is always the best place to start from. Now, based on this positive psychology and some other coaching approaches and psychological backgrounds, there also is this positive intelligence that I have been talking about several times already. And positive intelligence is an idea that we can train our brains the same way we can train our physical muscles to become more resistant, to become more resilient, to gain mental fitness. You have heard me talk about those PQ reps, positive intelligence repetitions. So that's the exercises that we do to actually have an influence on our heads, on our way of thinking. And again, the idea is that we want to be able to respond to everything that's happening in our lives in a way that serves us better than what we have done so far. So instead of looking at the difficulties of a situation, turn around and look for something that you could take away from it in a positive way, like learn from it, getting inspired from it, or maybe it's just build your own power, your own resilience from it. And yes, sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder. And still, if we have that goal to look for the good things inside what's happening, then it's more probable that we can find a solution. So this is what I wanted to share with you today because I'm so excited. So from now on, I will talk a lot about neuropositive and neuropositivity. I will probably also talk about neuropositive lines and how we can use them. Of course, very similar to Neurographica because that's what I learned. That's where I come from. And I will also talk about the neuropositive pathways that we can take. And I want to literally take you by your hands and guide you through this very turbulent times that we're currently in and together find a positive way through it. Now, I know now is a very, very busy time. It is supposed to be the quiet time, the time to prepare for the holidays. But nowadays, it's not a quiet time at all. It's very, very busy. Everyone is trying to get their stuff done before the holidays. And so, my offer to you right now is let's do a series of PQ reps, or we could also call them short breaks, micro breaks, as I refer to them as well, so that whenever you need a break, you have this little recording that you can listen to and literally, yeah, focus on your senses instead of all the stressors out there. So, if you want to take any object that is close to you, I usually take a pen because I always have a pen with me. And so when you take your object and hold it in front of you, make sure that you start scanning this object with your eyes. Maybe you've done that before with me, so still take advantage of doing it again. Have a close look at this object, follow the edges. It's almost like you're taking a picture from it. Pay attention to the details. Where do you see the lights reflected? Where do you see shadows? You can also move this object really slowly and observe how things change, how the light reflections change, and can do that, by the way, with everything in your environment. You can use faces when you're in a conversation, and this immediately will calm you down. And the same that we're doing with your sense of sight, we can also do with your sense of hearing. So when you want to close your eyes, you might close your eyes and then listen to the sound that is currently farthest away from you, and you can just grasp it. Look for that sound. Where do you find it? Is it to your right? Is it to your left? Maybe behind you? What is that sound that is farthest away from you? And then come back to the sound that's closest to you. Maybe you even have a sound inside your head. Maybe you can hear the sound of your breathing. Whatever is closest to you, pay attention to that. And then move out to the farthest away sound again. Maybe it's the same, maybe it has changed. And then come back to the sound that's closest to you. With your eyes open or shut, you can then concentrate on your feet and your toes. You can start wiggling your toes. Put your attention to all your little toes. How many of them can you actually reach with your attention? Is it all 10? Is it only a subset of them? If you have your feet on the floor, you can also pay attention to the surface that your feet are touching on the floor, the weight that they are bearing, especially when you are on your feet. And then you can slowly move up your body through your legs, your body. Bring your attention up to your head. You might feel that you're sitting up straighter if you're doing that, or standing up straighter if you're doing that. And now focus on your breathing again. Take a deeper breath in and feel the temperature of air as it flows into your nose. And exhale, and again pay attention to the temperature of the air. And do that 2 more times at your own pace. And then get back to your natural breathing rhythm. And when you're ready, open your eyes. You might want to stretch a bit. And when you open your eyes now, I hope you can feel relaxed a bit, maybe refreshed. And whenever you need such a short break, just take a pen, listen to a sound, wiggle your toes, or focus on your breathing. With that, I wish you a wonderful December, and may you always lead well yourself and others. Bye for now.
This was Lead Well. Now, what is the one thing that you're taking away from this episode? Please share in the comments below, and do share the podcast with your friends and family, but only if you like it.